Hi guys, my name is Mandy and I am a writer and a career coach. And I talk about how to bring more creativity and joy into your life. So today's episode, this is a pep talk, okay? Let me just be so real with you. This is a pep talk for all of my creative friends out there. This is an encouragement for you to come out of your shell, to be okay with being seen, and to create more art. I want you to try. I want you to be seen. I want you to create your own success. The working title for this video, as I was plotting it out, is It's Cool. And I'm trying to kind of redefine what it means to be cool in today's day and age as a creator and as an artist. And as I've been reading the comments, one of the things that I love to read is people are like, oh, I bring you with me on my morning walk, or I've been listening to your videos in the morning as like motivation. And like, I love that. I'm so honored. I can't believe I get to be like your walk buddy or your morning buddy. Like, that makes me so happy. Okay, so today's video, these are the 3 ideas, the 3 topics that we're going to cover. The first is that it's cool to try. The second is that it's cool to be seen. At first, the title was It's Okay to Be Seen. And then I was like, Mandy, just like, can you go with the whole cool theme? But, okay, it's interchangeable. And then the third is it's cool to create your own success. Idea number 1 is that it's cool to try. And it's this sentiment that it's okay to want something for yourself. It's okay to yearn for something. It's okay to not have something, but say to yourself, I do want that thing. And in order to get there, in order to achieve my dream, I know that I have to be uncomfortable. I know that I have to work hard. And I know that this cannot all happen in isolation, and it's not all going to happen invisibly. If I try, if I'm putting myself out there, if I'm posting about my art, if I'm publishing my stories, if I'm having a dance performance, like, other people are going to see that. And like, it's okay to be seen trying. So give yourself permission to want something, even if it's not something that most people want. Even if your dreams are a little weird or off the beaten path or don't necessarily make sense to people, aren't logical, don't fit into some corporate flow, like, that's okay. People don't have to understand it. You can still want it, and you can still want it badly, and you can still try going after it. I feel like there's this idea that we should all just be effortless, like totally effortless, chic, like wearing a jean jacket, smoking a cigarette, just like drinking a fancy coffee, like just like not trying. Like, I don't want to try too hard. Oh, that person's such a try hard. I'm like, okay, but how are we supposed to get that thing that we want? Or we're just not supposed to like want things. We're just supposed to just like be chill. Like, I don't think you should be chill. Like, I think you should try. I think you should go after the things that you want. And even if you fall, and even if you look silly, and even if people are like, ooh, that person is so needy, they're so extra, there's so much. It's like, yeah, I am extra. Have you met me? I was like a weird kid, so now I'm in a weird adult. Like, I don't know what you expected. Like, this is who I am, you know? Just because you're going into the holidays and you don't know how to explain what you do to other people, it doesn't matter, you know? Like, we don't need to have other people understand us in order to still want it. Guys, I'm about to go into the holidays, and I am about to talk to a lot of people that I haven't talked to in a very long time, and they're going to be like, what are you up to? And like, what am I going to say? Oh, I literally sometimes have like low grade panic about this, because I'm like, if people ask me what do I do? Like, how do I explain this? Do I say like, I'm a writer, and then hope they just go away? Or, you know, if they're like, what do you do? And I'm like, I create content. Like, it's like, I cannot explain this to people. I cannot explain that I'm trying to create an empowerment platform on YouTube to help creative people get back to their true selves. Like, that is not a soundbite. People are not going to understand. So I'm literally coming up with like, what's the soundbite that I can say when I'm like during the holidays to people? Like, I literally don't know. I think I'm just going to say, oh, I've been doing a lot of writing. Like, that's it. you know? And I know, again, that's not cool. Like, don't dampen your light. It's not that. It's just like when you're in these sort of micro social situations and you know this person is only going to talk to you for 5 minutes and you don't want to dominate the conversation with like your multi-layered marketing and creativity plan. Like, you know, you just have to come up with something that is going to be like socially acceptable. So I'm just naming that. Like the whole world has the hierarchy where it's like business and productivity and then creativity comes last. And that's like reversed for you. If you are a creative and you're an artist, your art is actually crucial. Let me say that again. Like, your art is crucial. This is as important to you as breathing. And I don't mean you're in some beautiful flowy art state. I mean just existing and suffering with your art. Like some twisted masochist is like part of your being. That's part of your process. That's part of actually like using creativity as a vehicle to transmute emotion and make something beautiful or meaningful out of pain is your healing process, or is a part of your healing from trauma. So when I say that art is not frivolous, it's not a nice to have, it is such an important part of who you are, I'm just saying, like, we can't act like, oh, this silly little thing that I'm doing, you know, people aren't necessarily going to understand that, but you need to understand it for yourself. Creativity is a creation state and it's a healing state. It's necessary for you. It's not a nice to have. So number 2 is this idea that it's cool to be seen. And I want to unpack this and start with the idea of who we were when we were younger, right? So when I was younger, I was a total dork. Like, I was a total nerd. I still am, okay? Like, in high school, I was in Model United Nations, and I was the head of the Forensics Club, which is essentially debate team. I was also really into Chinese martial arts. And so instead of gym class, I would do Chinese martial arts class, and I would like wear this like full body, like black silk martial arts costume. Like, trust me, when I'm out there trying to practice my kicks, okay? Like, nobody's coming up to me and being like, hey, can I get your number? Like, that's not okay. So what I'm trying to say is that as artists, we're used to sort of being an underdog, or we're used to sort of being in the shadows. Like, I was popular because I was always like, I could be friends with a lot of different people, and so people liked me, but I wasn't like a cool girl. Like, I wasn't like the prettiest girl, or I wasn't like the prom queen. In those formative years, right, I grew up as someone who was kind of off to the side. I was often the best friend, or I was often the observer. I became a very keen observer of social situations because I was never at the center of the spotlight. And I think actually being kind of that side person makes you a great artist. Like, I think that power of observation, or the experiences of rejection or pain as a teenager, you know, that you may not necessarily get if you were like the prettiest person in the room, right? Like, you had to develop a sense of humor. You had to develop a personality because you didn't rely on just being like naturally the most stunning person ever. And I'm not talking down on myself. Like, I love that I was a freaking nerd. Like, I owned it. Even like in my high school yearbook, I quoted Dostoevsky. Okay, like, I knew I knew what I was. But what I'm saying is, like, I think that we are like a fine wine. I think people like us, we get better with age. And I think often if we're used to kind of being the misfit, or we're used to being kind of the outsider, suddenly if we are in a position where we are creating and then asking for people to look at that art, it's not necessarily something we're terribly comfortable with. Like, if I create this art and then I want attention and I want eyeballs and I want, you know, people to tell me it's great, and I want, you know, recognition, right? As artists, we all want recognition. But if I'm now putting myself in that position, like, am I somehow betraying a part of myself because now I'm asking for a spotlight? And what I'm saying is that you can still be seen and you can still be recognized, and it's actually cool to be seen. It's actually cool to be recognized because you're going to find so many people with a similar background as you who come out of the woodwork and is like, oh my gosh, I thought I was like the only weirdo, you know? And so it takes on actually like double power because you are different and because you do have an interesting point of view, right? I just feel like as artists, like we shouldn't play small, you know, and I think oftentimes there's this corollary between making great art and being invisible. And I'm here to say, don't. Like, you owe it to your art also to allow it to be seen. I know that can be really uncomfortable, but that is what you need to do. So I am a huge Taylor Swift fan, and sometimes what I think about is I obviously admire her as a musician, but I also admire her as a business person. And sometimes when I'm feeling like shy or when I'm feeling like, ugh, like I don't want to post this, it's too vulnerable, I don't want to be so I don't want to seem so attention hungry, what have you. I often think about her and her Eras tour and how there were decisions made where, I mean, imagine if Taylor had said, you know what, I don't want to do the whole like stadium thing. Why don't we just play like smaller coffee shops and bars? Like that's kind of where I'm comfortable. And it's like, no, I think what we're seeing is an example of someone who is like standing in her power and being like, this stuff is good. Yes, it's popular, but it's also cool. And I'm here to share it. Like, how annoying would it have been if she hadn't have been like, let me go big, let me go hard? Sometimes you have to, and you will find your audience. Third idea, final idea, is that it's cool to create your own success. And let me explain what I mean by that. Okay, so when I was growing up, there were all these sort of stories or archetypes around people who were discovered, right? It's almost like no effort. Like I was just walking in the mall in Lithuania and then an agent came up to me and was like, are you a model? And then I became a model and suddenly I'm on the runways of Paris. Or it's like, oh, I was a poet and I just published something in my high school newspaper. And then one of the parents who happened to be an editor at the New Yorker read it and was like, oh, you are like the next ingenue of the literary circle. Like, come to New York and like, let us publish your work. I think sometimes we internalize that. And sometimes we think like, maybe I just need to keep to myself and not promote myself. And also I just have to like go through the proper channels and I have to like play by the rules, and then someone will discover me and someone will give me permission to exist. You know, we like to be chosen. We like to feel like, wow, somebody already sees me. They've already affirmed my essential goodness, and therefore I don't have to prove myself, and therefore there's probably zero likelihood of rejection. So therefore I'm going to either wait for that opportunity or I'm going to go for that opportunity because there's zero risk. And I think what I'm saying is like, don't wait. Like, you cannot wait to be discovered. You cannot wait for your moment. You cannot wait for your big break. Like, I think you have to create it. I think it used to be that there were these really powerful gatekeepers and that you couldn't do anything without having an agent or without having a book deal or without having representation, right? But nowadays, it's like there's so much less friction. Like, you could just post it on Instagram, you know, like you could just post on your YouTube channel like I'm doing here. Like there's actually no barrier. There's no barrier to you saying your message and like, listen, it's not going to be a straight line. Okay. You could look back at some of those early YouTube videos that I posted and it's like, whoa, okay. You could see how it's improved over time, but it's just this idea of you can just start creating your own thing. You can create your own blog. You can create your own free newsletter. You can create your own website. You can create your own Etsy store. You could literally do whatever you want. And you don't have to wait for anyone. You don't have to wait for permission. I think I've told this story before, but I was in the process of formally pitching to book publishers to try to get a book like formally through, you know, a big fancy publisher, and heard nothing back for months. And it was during that time that I was like, well, okay, I mean, I could like keep pitching. That doesn't seem to be working because these traditional gatekeepers aren't really interested until, you know, you become like too big to ignore, and I wasn't there yet. So I was like, okay, let me just do it on my own. Like, let me try. And so that's what led to me writing my own journal that I self-published, that I print, and that I still hand bind and make from home. Like, I didn't wait. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if I had been like, I can only do it once I've been officially sanctioned, then we would still be waiting. Literally, still nothing would be published. Okay, so in conclusion, this was like my love letter to you. This was like my pep talk to you, because I remember it like occurred to me during the week. I kept, my internal voice would say things like, God, you're so extra, Mandy. And I remember thinking like, yeah, I am. And like, it's okay to be extra. And that's how I came up with this video idea, because I was like, yeah, it's okay to try. It's okay to want things. It's okay to be ambitious. It's okay to have big dreams. It's okay to want stuff for yourself. It's okay to create stuff for yourself, and it's okay to just do it. Even if no one gives you permission and everybody thinks you're a weirdo, you are a weirdo. Like, that's great. All right, so in today's video, we talked about 3 concepts. It's okay to try, it's okay to be seen, and it's okay to create your own success. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for someone to tell you you're good enough. You're already good enough. Just start doing it. Okay, I love you guys as always. Thank you so much for the support. As always, I'm going to keep coming back. Stay tuned and see you soon. Bye.